All right, Wolfgang in the afternoon. Welcome. We got a special edition of 10 minutes behind closed doors. I'm Topher Bayless. I got Jonny, Kruze, Katy, Kruze here with us. Our special guest, Corey Feldman, is here.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm kind of starstruck. I got to tell you,
He's totally starstruck.
I am
He's
really
like giddy all day.
Everything, the whole thing. I do want to start out with this question. With all this imagery surrounding your show, this particular tour, when you're touring, do you feel a difference in the shows?
I mean, every show is unique. Every show is different. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's an overall tone to each tour, definitely. When we did the Angelic tour, it was like the tone was a nightmare. And it was just like everything about it. I mean, the crowds were huge, but but that said, there was so much darkness trying to infiltrate the tour, and so that was a big thing. And I actually shut the tour down, the third leg of it, just because there was so much going on between the Me Too movement and all this. It was just like distractions, but. This tour, ever since we started the first leg, we called it Love Retours because it was like, let's bring back the love and the positive energy, you know, in the rock and roll scene, because there's not enough of that anymore. Yeah. And so we did that, and we did it with full force, and it was like such an instant reaction. Like every single show, regardless of how big the venue was or how full or whatever, it was just like the audiences were just loving every minute of it. The energy between the energy between the audience and the people on stage, and the reciprocation of that energy and the love was so overwhelming that it's like, well, we just kept adding on legs. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now we're at the third or fourth leg of this tour.
Yeah. It's amazing.
And we're gonna go international with it next year. So, you know, and it's been building to the point. I mean, what happened over the weekend was mind blowing.
It was
Riot Fest.
crazy.
Oh my God!
I heard you were
insane.
the band at Riot Fest.
Oh my
It's so
God.
weird. Like, it was so crazy. Like, you start seeing the press come out the next day, and it's like they put our name before the Foo Fighters
I
in
know.
Entertainment Weekly.
Oh
I was
my
like, what the hell is that?
Take that, girl.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, it's shocking. I mean, all of it has been like, you know, the fact that we had 20,000 people in front of us at 2:00 in the afternoon on the smallest stage. Like,
it was insane.
We expected maybe like a few hundred people to show up. You know what I mean? I had no idea what to expect. But it was like 20,000 people, and they're all chanting the words to my songs, and we're just like, wow, that was powerful.
Disturbing
So,
Deborah. I gotta tell you. Deceptive Deborah.
Yeah.
I gotta love that song. I got another question. Rumor is that you're super tight with your crew on this tour. And I gotta ask, as much touring as you guys are doing, you're working hard and seeing some of your shows. Do you guys are you able to have fun? And what's the most fun part about it with your crew?
To be very honest, it has been a ride. We are going balls to the wall. I mean, there has not been any time for any monkey business. We haven't had a single after party. I mean, we're like, man, you guys have no idea. We're talking like we finish a show and have like a 900 or 1,200 mile drive and have to be there by the next day.
Wow.
It's the grind.
Wow.
I have a question
it's
for you.
insane.
So, Corey, we've seen this with, you know, people that have been in, you know, movie stars. We'll, you know, obviously, big movie star here that we're sitting with right now. That's why we're all kind of like, ah. And we've seen so many of them that have migrated into music, and it's really been successful, hence what you've got going on right now. My question is, was that a part of your success path all along, or did you just finally go, okay, so now I'm a big movie star, and I love music, so I'm going to do this now?
No. I started with music.
Really?
People don't realize that, but as a kid actor, when I started, you know, auditioning, I was so young. I didn't know how to read scripts. I didn't know how to read words. So
you were 3.
It's not like you could hand a script to me and go read this and learn it and come back and do the audition. So instead, my mom would stick me in a room with a record player, and she would say, learn a song. And I would learn the song, and I would come out and I would sing for my auditions. And that's how I actually got my parts.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
That's
So
totally cool.
That was what started it all. And then my dad was in a band, you know, he was in the Strawberry Alarm Clock, and
I didn't
yeah.
know that. Are
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
serious?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know, and he had his own band after that. And so, I mean, there was always a band in the living room setting up and rehearsing and all that. So I was just very used to seeing the amps around and the drum kits in the living room. And
So what you're
all
saying
that
is
kind of
Hooked on
stuff.
Phonics works.
Yeah. So all this must feel comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah, and then my sister was in the Mickey Mouse Club, and she was a Mouseketeer. My first job, real job besides commercials, was a TV special, which was a musical where I sang and did dance numbers with Dick Van Dyke. So,
Wow.
I mean,
My
like,
gosh.
it's always been a thing.
Wow, that's really
but,
cool.
But I put out my first. Well, I wrote my first song at 11. I actually recorded my first song at 14.
Jeez.
And that song is now available as part of my box set, Love Left 2.1.
Yeah.
So you can actually see the whole history. It's pretty awesome. We have a documentary with interviews with all the people that I worked with in the very beginning, from Michael Damian to Mickey Thomas to
I
Dean
know.
Pleasance from Suicidal Tendencies.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of the people that we worked with aren't even around anymore, like Spider from Tower of Power, who was on my first album, or Hunt Sales is still around. We just haven't spoken in a while, but he was the drummer on some of the songs. So I mean, it's just we've had the opportunity. Every single album of mine, if you go and you look at the credits, the amazing list of people that we've had on each album, from Lita Ford to Snoop Dogg to Fred Durst.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's incredible.
I've always been very fortunate in the fact that I've had amazing collaborations and amazing artists that have always appreciated my art.
Yeah.
So even when the public didn't get it, or even before the record labels wouldn't give me a shot. I mean, they were the ones that shut the doors on me, because the idea that an actor could be a legitimate musician was like unheard of, because at the time when I
Right.
started, you have to realize there were all these like teen pop guys that were like teen stars, that were actors that wanted to become rock stars.
Right,
And they all
right.
put out an album and it sucked.
Right.
Okay. So there was like 10 or 20 of those. And because of those, when I came around, it was like, oh yeah, it's just another kid actor trying to be a rock star.
Wow.
And so when I put out my first album, first of all, I put out my first single in 1989 on vinyl.
Yep.
And it went through the roof. I mean, like, everything we did in the beginning was like sold out, crazy. And then I went to the labels and said, okay, here's my first thing. And they were like, nope. And it was just like hard shut the door in my face. And so then I was like, okay, screw it. You know what? I'm just going to make music for me then. I don't care.
Right.
So I just started writing and recording anyway. And then by 1993, I had, done a few film soundtracks, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to slap this together and make an album out of it. And I had a film producer who is a friend of mine, who's like, he was basically trying to schmooze me to do another movie with him. So he's like, hey, I'll put out your first album. I'm going to create a independent label just to put out your first album.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, that works.
Wow.
So we made 1,000 copies of Love Left, and, I started handing it out to friends, people in the industry, like, just listen to it. I don't care what, you don't have to buy it. I don't care what you think of it. Use it as a coaster, use it as a Frisbee. I don't care. But, here it is. And that was it, and I figured that would be the end of it, to be honest. I mean, not that I wouldn't keep making music, but
Yeah.
I just
Right.
didn't think that there would be a life beyond that. I figured if I could sell my stuff to film soundtracks here and there, I would make enough money to pay for the production.
All right.
And that made it worth it for me.
Yeah.
And I did that for many years, and I'd do little gigs, and, it was fun and whatever, but it was always kind of like, not that I didn't take it seriously, but I didn't think anybody else was ever going to take it seriously. So I just kept making it for me. And then I
Right.
started Truth Movement. I was like, now I want to make real music that's like art without, the preconceived idea of it's Corey Feldman. I'm going to take my name out of it and see what that does. And then people started taking that music a lot more seriously.
Right.
And when we would book shows as Truth Movement, I noticed that I would get a lot more credibility. People would take it a lot more seriously. And so I did that for many years. And then I was like, okay, now I'll try and go back out. When I went back out with Former Child Actor as my second album, I was like, okay, this time I got Rick Springfield.
Yeah.
I got, some really cool people
We
involved.
were just with him
We
last
were
couple weeks
just
ago.
with Rick,
I
yeah.
love
Yeah.
Rick. I love Rick.
Yeah.
And he didn't even, here's a funny story. He didn't even remember that he co-wrote the title track with me, and I couldn't figure it out until I found the original writing of the song that him and I did together. And the reason, and when I spoke to him on the phone, he's like, I never wrote that with you. I was like, yeah, you did. I was like, I don't remember. I'm like, Rick, we wrote it together. I promise you. And he's like, but I don't remember ever writing a song called Former Child Actor, because when we wrote it, it wasn't called Former Child Actor. It was called Condition Idol. And that was supposed to be the hook, and I changed the hook and made it Former Child Actor.
That was in 95?
That was in 2003.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I put out an album in 93. I put out the first Truth Movement album in 98. And then 2003, I put out Former Child Actor.
Former child actor, yeah. Okay.
It's incredible. So the show tonight, when you say art, there's a lot that goes into it. What influences do you pull from? I mean, obviously you've been there, done that 100 times.
It's not
How do you
really-
craft what you do and what you want to project?
I don't think of it that way. I don't think of it as influences. I just do what I do. It just comes through me, you know. I mean, when I feel the music, I just react to it.
That's cool.
I think that's probably
Awesome.
pretty typical because you just get it's such a part of you that you just kind of naturally react to what's
Right.
going on.
I mean, I'm
you know?
naturally a choreographer anyway, so
Oh, okay.
a lot of my films and stuff,
Oh.
you know, I choreograph the dance and stuff like that inside the films and for the touring, and my voice is starting to go.
Yeah,
Though, so
we want to save your voice.
Save your voice.
I'm gonna wrap things up here with Corey. Corey, we got a great show with you tonight here at Diamond Music Hall. Jonny and I are excited. Katy's excited. We're all excited to have you tonight.
can't wait to rock St. Louis.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing show tonight,
Hell
guys.
yeah.
Come on down. Thank you
on
for the
down.
interview, Kwulf, Wolfpack. Thank you.
Thank you.